oh, I don't know what that is. Maybe it's updated. That Zoom has updated or done some updates and it's declaring. But anyway, welcome everyone. Just to make a few announcements that this evening we will start the course on the nakshatras, and I think it is really important that you guys join in because the nakshatras are like foundation, and a lot of our remedies come from the moon nakshatra and the Janma nakshatra, which is nothing but the moon Rashi, and as well as the Lagna nakshatra. So I would strongly encourage you guys to join. Also, I think the thing is that my focus on nakshatras is predominantly on the deities, the mythological stories, as well as the plants and the trees associated with it. And when you join in, you'll realize the importance of what's the big deal about plants and trees. So anyway, welcome everyone. So here today for the beginners class, we will do the Ātmakāraka. So, and various planets is Ātmakāraka. I know in the last session, let me just start the, sorry, 1 minute. The slideshow. Okay, so last time we saw, I think we just touched upon the moon Ātmakāraka, or rather it was a sun, I think we just stopped at. But if you recall a few, times, I think it was the last to last, where I mentioned, or was it the last? I forget. But I mentioned about remember this yuga thing. I mentioned all about the yugas, the Satya Yuga, the Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga, right? And I mentioned the Rashi signs as well, that the fire signs give great results in the Satya Yuga, and this is in the D9 in the Navāṃśa chart. And Treta Yuga gives, the Treta Yuga signs are the water signs, and the Dwapar Yuga are the air signs, and the Kali Yuga are the earth signs. And this is specifically to do with the D9, but it can also be extended to the D10 as well. Now, just to give you a little astronomy on the yugas. Now we know about the precession of the equinoxes and why it happens, and that's why we use a sidereal zodiac. But the whole zodiac is also, it's following the Dhruva Tara, which is the pole star, the northern star. So I'm not going to go too much into the Ayanāmsa because we've already covered that. You can grab the slide or take a screen grab and then study it. But here, what is important is the concept of kalpa. Now, in the epicycles, the Hindu epicycles, or the huge time chunks of period of time, a kalpa is equivalent to the something known as a 4.32 billion years, which is nothing but the day of Brahma, which is like a single day in the life of Brahma. And obviously, we are talking of like a massive amount chunk of time, and which is 1000 Mahayugas. Again, they are like subdivisions, and the kalpa each lasting for 71 yuga cycles, which is like this astronomical figure. But right now, we've already gone past, as in like right now we are in Kali Yuga, but we have, as a collective, we have gone through every 3 previous yugas, which began in the Satya Yuga, which lasted for approximately the 172,000 years. So that's kind of like a really staggering figure, again, each yuga is divided into the manvantaras as well. Again, you can read about this, but what I'm trying to really impress upon is that at the end of every yuga, right? This is the little math. At the end of every yuga, everything is destroyed. And then the Sapta Rishis, who are like the great divine beings, along with the Matsya avatar, who is instrumental in taking them out of the pralay, and then they travel to the swarga and other towards the nakshatras. That's why there's a huge importance given to the nakshatras, because the nakshatras and everything, they are kind of not going around the sun. They are they're beyond, and they are rotating around the Dhruv Tara, which is nothing but the Polaris or the northern star, whose degrees have shifted. Now, this is really important. And why I brought up the astronomy is that essentially it's pretty fascinating, the huge chunks of time, right? And the Treta Yuga, like I said, like I mentioned earlier, which maps into the water signs. This yuga lasted for like almost like 129,000 years, or 129,600 years. And in Dwapar Yuga, there is even a greater decline in virtue and religion. Vice is increasing, and this again lasts for 864,000 years. And finally, in Kali Yuga is like the period lasts for 432,000 years. That's again like quite a bit. People say that we are somewhere coming close to an end of this Kali Yuga. And at the end of the Kali Yuga, when it increases, the vice increases to such a point that is like plagues and food famines and absolute. And then the ice age sets in, which we can feel it anyway already, given the summer, which is no more in Britain. And then the Kalki avatar appears, and he vanquishes everything. And there again, there is a big destruction of the earth, and complete for days and days there is fire and all of that. It's all very described very well in the Garud Puran. So again, and then the whole cycle begins again. Again, you can read about this. I'm not going to go too much into it. Take a screen grab and explore further. This is like huge amounts of huge chunks of time and it's Brahma of course is the creator. So numerous Brahmas are again created and they disappear. So we are like in like a little minuscule cycle here. Now let's get back to the planets. Okay, so we understood that the sun is blood red, and we went through, I think we did the sun, didn't we? So didn't we do the sun? We did do the sun, right? And we mentioned about Swami Vivekananda and how he's got a son which is Vargotama, and it is in the same sign in Rashi as well as in D9 chart. And so the sun is also towards the very fag end of the degrees, which is again a lot of karma associated, which you can't escape. And now we go into the moon Ātmakāraka, who's the overseer of the moon Ātmakāraka is Varun Dev, which is Varuna, the god of the waters. And the complexion of the moon is tawny, abounding in Vata and Kapha. This is the Ayurvedic sort of people who, a lot of you are Ayurveda experts here, or at least they are seriously studying Ayurveda. They would know about the basic body types, which is the Pitta, Vata, and Kapha kind of personalities. So the moon personality is predominantly Vata and Kapha. That means there's a sense of like being on the edge, thin and wiry, and that's the vata characteristics. And kapha is somebody who's like full of like a little bit lazy, a little bit relaxed. They are slow to do things, while vata people run around, their brains are also running around like at jet speed. That is and of course the moon is a karaka of the manas, which is your mind. So of course moon has to be like a combination of vata and kapha. And kapha, why? Because it seeks security and it wants to like the moon exalts in the sign of Taurus, we all know that. And when it exalts in the sign of Taurus, it is absolutely stable. It is very steady. And hence, it's a little bit like the kapha energy, the positive side of kapha, where everything is stable and clean and, calm and, and very security driven. So that is very, it epitomizes the moon. And hence the attribute of kapha is assigned to the moon from Ayurvedic terms. O twice born, auspiciously eyed, of sweet speech, fluctuating and lovesick. Why lovesick? People who have very strong moon, they're forever like looking for people who like them, hanging out with people. People are their big strength. So if you notice cancer rising people or people who've got very high shadbala or very strong strength in like moon or Venus, they are forever like looking for people whom they can hang out with and be social with. It's nothing negative, it's just how you are built. She has auspicious looks and sweet speech, is fickle minded and very lustful. Now you have to remember the moon is a karaka for something which is like people in general and social. And of course when it comes to the social and society, things can fluctuate. Hence she is also very fickle minded and lustful. Why lustful? Because moon is full of desires. Remember the moon god. When we do the nakshatras, I'll tackle the moon, and when we come to the nakshatras of the moon, we'll do them we'll find that the moon is full of wanting this or that. And there's some needs to be met. Think of like a small kid who wants to constantly something or the other, non-stop. So that is the characteristic of the moon. That's like the personality of the moon. And hence it's fickle minded and very lusty in nature, very desirous in nature. Now, people who have moon as Atmakarakas, past some lifetime, they have spent abusing themselves, okay? Whichever planet turns out as your Atmakaraka, you have spent that some lifetimes where you have abused or misused that energy of that planet. And hence, you have turned up this lifetime with that as your Atmakaraka. That means there are heavy karmas. There are karmas which have not been resolved, which you have to resolve this lifetime, right? Um, and hence, that particular planet has landed up like on your plate to deal with those issues of that will be dealt with this lifetime. So this, and moon is also very like they like to take care of themselves. They remember they are lustful. There's forever this desire like, oh, I'm thirsty, I want some food, because food is also like moon is a karaka for food and what we feed ourselves. So again, like it's like, oh, I want to eat this, or I want to have that. There's like always some kind of desire wanting to be met. And hence some lifetime either you have misused it, that is you have done either too much food or too little food, or you have kind of neglected your body. Because remember, the moon is also karaka of longevity. It's your your uh, it's moon rules the body as well. So hence you have misused it, you have not cared about it. So hence this lifetime, you have to take care of your body, your health, your well-being, your emotional mind, your needs for security. All of that needs to be taken care of. And hence, how can you go about doing all this? Using of music, glass, water remedy, like beautiful pure clean water, because moon color is like light transparent beautiful water. Think of Pisces. Remember when we were doing Pisces, because that is from the sign of Cancer. Pisces is the ninth house. And so that is the birth of, literally the birth where moon was born. That's the father, his house of the father, the ninth house. And so if you think of the color of Pisces, it's like it rules the oceans, and the color is transparent. That means it's like clear water, absolutely pure. And that is what moon rules and loves. So moon loves the kind of absolute purity, and that is why water and making focus on like filters and water filters and like crystal remedies, all of that is comes under the domain of the moon. Gemstones, crystals, they are all kind of very moon related remedies. Water therapies also will be very beneficial for people who have moon as Atmakaraka. And of course, Ayurveda, which is part of Atharveda, is given by Rishi Atri and the family, but often families are a touchy subject. So often you find that people with moon Atmakaraka, they may have really horrible, even though they will have families, but it'll be really difficult, challenging, little bit messed up, the families, and especially their relationship with the mother is going to be really difficult. Either they have not had enough love and care from their mother, or they are called upon to do act as a mother for somebody or mother other people. They will naturally have a ability to mother other people. Okay, so you have to remember that. And so ultimately, the whole world is my family is the dictum that the moon needs to worry about, and not go on like, oh, my mother didn't give me this, my family is a bit problematic, and they will have plenty of issues in the family. Trust me, they absolutely will. Okay, so hence this lifetime they have to make sure that they find something which is truly in keeping of their heart, because the moon is like the fourth house. It rules the Rit chakra, the heart chakra, so they need to do something which gives them genuine happiness. And the outside reality, their outside family, they're not going to give them happiness. I can assure you, anyone with moon Atmakaraka, 100% guaranteed, the parents will be a problem, the mother will be the biggest problem. And if even when they have their own families, they will end up having problems with their family, within the family, the problems regarding their children, everything. So given that as it may, then you just have to accept that the real self love will real love will come from oneself, from one's own heart. But that's not to say that they'll never, because people with moon Atmakaraka are forever looking for like the perfect relationship, the perfect partner, the perfect everything, and they are forever seeking like a boyfriend, or it's built into the system. Okay, so then they will find that basically they need to take back their power, care for themselves, and focus on something that keeps them happy, in terms of learning, in terms of studying, or something that really will give them joy, rather than looking for outside joy. Okay, So that is the real message of moon Atmakaraka. Now, let's see Louis Vuitton. This is the chart of Louis Vuitton. Does anybody want to jump in? His Atmakaraka is moon, right? And it is Vargottama. It is in the same sign, and it is also he's in the Navāṃśa chart, he's Cancer rising. Does somebody want to join in? Hi, guys. Hello? Anyone?
Hello?
Anyone wants to join in? No? Margarita, what happened?
Yeah, I don't know how to start. I mean, yeah, the moon. So you said it is in the third house, which is also a house of skills.
Yes.
Yeah, the first thing I noticed, because it's Louis Vuitton with hands. So, you know, it was like shoes and leather, you know, like I start with probably luggage, you know, when it started to design. So this is, you know, I see. And I don't know much about his life.
Yeah, even
so
I
don't know much, so I don't know how, you know, to relate it to that moon Ātmakāraka. You know, so probably is something. The only thing I know is a skills, because I mean, it's a really well-known brand for.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, I mean, I'm more inclined to think that his Navāṃśa could be rectified, you see, because if we rectify a little bit of it, then Venus and Jupiter comes in his Navāṃśa Lagna, right?
Where exalted Jupiter would be exalted then. Also.
No,
No, is a Virgo. No, is a Cancer. No.
Yeah, exactly. But even the Cancer one works because you see, the Cancer that means the Lagna is Vargottama.
Yeah.
And, you know, that gives him the longevity. I don't know how long he lived, you know, we could Google that. Somebody can Google that and find out. But basically, you know, I think he left quite a legacy, which his family continued. And
definitely.
Sorry, yes, Oksana?
Excuse me, but I remember that you told us about him, that his sons, that he was very rich, but in the end, his sons had brought him to court.
Yeah, okay.
So this fits with what you said about the moon and the problems with the children.
Yeah. Absolutely. So children will be always a bit of an issue going on. But the main thing here is, if you notice, Margarita, see this, Mars and Mercury are in trines, you see. So I do know that he studied, you know, kind of cutting and, you know, all kinds of, you know, he put himself through some kind of a school. I think his father had a factory and he worked the ropes there. And he also studied law, which could explain Mars, you know. And I don't know if he was sporty. He could have been sporty, but he was definitely, I don't know, we may need to check more about him. But the main thing is that this is a particular Raj Yoga. This is a huge Raj Yoga. When when in the D9 chart, let's say you have moon, the Atmakāraka planet, and you also have that that lagna, you know, with which the Atmakāraka planet rules, that Navāṃśa lagna is also, you know, then it's a big Raj Yoga. Like, for example, since moon is his Atmakāraka, moon rules Cancer, right? So it's there in the Rashi chart as well as the Navāṃśa.
Navāṃśa.
That's beautiful. So not just does he have moon Vargottama, he also has Lagna
Vargottama. Yeah.
That is big blessing. You know, that is big blessings of Surya Dev and big blessings. The moon definitely, you know, so it's basically on his head, you know, so he cannot escape it. As in, when a planet is Vargottama, you know, the blessings are coming onto his head. So that's where, you know, he, whatever manifests inside, whatever he feels will always manifest for good or for bad. So it's a real strength to have a planet, especially an Ātmakāraka, to be Vargottama. It's a very strong, you know, it's good to have that. But if it is, let's say, moon is placed in a bad house in the Rashi chart, then it will also, you know, bring up those issues. So basically you can't escape it, you see. So for good or for bad, it depends. Again, if it is something is Vargottama, you have to see where its placement is and things like that. Yeah.
Any siblings. So we don't know also the relationship with a sibling, because being the third house, probably. I mean,
yeah,
it is also a difficult house. It's one of the Dustana houses. So probably the position, yeah, it means also skills, but also probably, I don't know, some karma that he has to do with his siblings.
Yeah, absolutely. It is siblings. But remember, remember the first house, because the moon rules the first house, and you know, and to an extent it's in the Mool Trikona. It also rules the 11th house, which is we haven't come to the Badhak Sthan yet, but basically the moon rules the first house and the 11th house. And the 11th house is also one of profits, you know, so gains. And of course, he made loads of, we all know Louis Vuitton, how expensive it is, you know. So you understand. So that's a big thing. And there is no, he was like, the first house, Lagna, is your intelligence. So his whole intelligence was geared towards, you know, his, whatever he has to do in life is very much connected with his soul, you know. Yeah. So he was like, absolutely, they both are in sync with each other. There is no deviation in that, you see. And we will come to other things. The moon also has a drishti on, you know, like the moon. There are loads of other things that are connected. We have to also see the Ātmakāraka, his career, and how the Ātmakāraka is connected with the sun, because sun is his Ātmakāraka. And in the Navāṃśa chart, how it's connected. Then we also see the interplay of the sun and the moon in the D10 and how they are connected. Ideally, you want them in a friendly association, like either in the kendras or the trines, as well as, you know, in the Navāṃśa chart too, you want them in kendras. Here it's in a very good position. You know, they are in a kendra, so which is very positive. So I'm just adding a little extra bit so you can understand, yeah, that it's not just seeing the Ātmakāraka and finishing it. It's just also seeing what is the interplay, how is the Ātmakāraka, because he had a brilliant, obviously like a brilliant entrepreneurial career. You know, he furthered his father's little shop, tailoring shop. I think his father had like a little tailoring shop, and then he brought out this whole range of creative designing stuff, right? So we've got to see the whole thing in together. Anyway, let's move forward with the Mars. Otherwise, we'll be here for a long time. So Mars is cruel with red eyes, is Mars moving to and fro of torn form, Pitta nature, angry with a lean, medium-sized body. This comes from the BPHS, and he's not very tall, he's blood red. Now, people who have Mars as their Atmakaraka, violence and aggression are going to be their big themes. But if you notice, a lot of the people who have Mars as an Atmakaraka are deeply they steer clear of non-violence, especially if you are of a very evolved nature. Now, having said that, I have also seen a lot of Mars Atmakaraka people who are very angry and very aggressive and who pick up fights and, all of that. A lot of people. But then again, it's how Mars is placed, what house is ruling. It may be placed in a very negative house, very difficult house. It may be in a Marana Sthana. So we have to take into account all of those things. So you may find that violence and aggression, where people are very mild-mannered, very benign, and this lifetime they have to solve problems through the path of ahimsa parama dharma. That is always a non-violent path. Okay. Just like Mahatma Gandhi, the father of Indian nation, his path was regarding satyagraha, kind of passive resistance without any violence, absolute path of non-violence. Yeah. And then they have to be good to their brothers, sisters, work colleagues, cousins, etc. Because bear in mind that Mars is the karaka for brothers, work colleagues, so brothers and sisters, cousins, etc. Okay, so they have to listen to them. They cannot just ignore them. Similarly with the moon Atmakaraka, they have to be really be good to their mother. Even though they may have a challenging relationship with their mother, they have to be really good to their mother. Yeah. And they need to practice some sport like Tai Chi, yoga, something which is related to the body, and that will really help them. Usually you will find that people with strong Mars Atmakaraka, they're very energetic. They are always like somebody I know, they had like a black belt, so they were black belt. So there is that sense of like karate, aikido, and all of those things they will be very good at. They'll be very interested in those kind of things. They'll love outdoors and things like that. So these are the things that is very strong element within the Mars Atmakaraka people. Yeah. Anybody has any questions?
Yes, hello.
Yeah.
So what if it doesn't matter if it's Mars or another Atmakaraka, what if it is in debilitation or Garganta or something like that? What does that mean? Because then the Atmakaraka is very weak, right?
That means there are many things. Gandanta have their own issues, lots of it's karmically, like they will keep trying and they have to keep doing. Gandanta is a very sensitive point, very difficult point. It's very difficult to resolve Gandanta. So yes, indeed it will be difficult, but there is no choice. They have to do that, you see.
Yes, but what does it mean for them? Are they not so aggressive or even more aggressive? Or in the case of Mars, or
I think you have to see the whole chart. Okay. We cannot really make an evaluate like, oh, your Mars is in Gandanta, then what of it? You know, if Mars is debilitated, it's actually a very, ideally, you don't want a Mars debility in the Navāṃśa chart. But if Mars is in debility in the Rashi chart, it's a very strong Mars. Mars in Cancer is actually a nicer placement than Mars in Capricorn in a lot of ways. Mars in Capricorn has got the energy. Remember, we began just a little bit a while ago. We began that the earth signs, especially the sign of Capricorn, is a Kali Yuga Rashi. Remember that? And it is very difficult because it is like the death energy in Capricorn is very, very strong, you know. And so Saturn is transiting Capricorn. We can feel the whole death sort of energy. It's like being on a cemetery, you know. So, but Mars in Cancer, because the sign of Cancer is a very soft sign, it's a moon sign, you know, moon's own sign. So Mars in Cancer is going to be a brilliant performer. And don't ever underestimate this Mars in Cancer, and don't like say, it's not very strong. People with Mars in Cancer are stronger, and probably occasionally stronger than Mars in Capricorn. They are incredible. They have incredible strength because they have the power of the moon behind them. And plus, it's a very strong, Cancer is a very benefic sign, extremely benefic. And hence those factors will overrule compared to, let's say, Mars in Capricorn. Mars in Capricorn is a very fierce sign. It's a very depressive sign. Even though Mars exalts there, it has a lot of problems there, you know. So rather have Mars in Cancer than Mars in Capricorn. Yeah. So again, you have to evaluate it from that. That is how you evaluate it. Yeah. So don't panic like if something is debilitated. But I would not say the same thing about Moon in Scorpio, please. Okay. So it's a little bit different. Moon in Scorpio is debilitated. It is in a not a very nice position. But Mars in Scorpio, Mars in Cancer, although debilitated, is a very fine placement, and they are extremely strong. The only thing is that men who have Mars in Cancer may have a little bit of, you know, angry women running after them. And, you know, some women, they may piss off. They are not very confrontational, so they may really irk a lot of women. But it's only a very minor price to pay because Mars in Cancer is very, very strong. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, go on. Anybody?
Yeah, I'm always surprised how many things you know. It's crazy.
How many things? Sorry, what's that?
Yeah, like how many things you know? How could we ever get to this level? This is crazy.
Well, you know, it will come. The principles are quite simple. There are 3 signs which are very, very benefic. One is Cancer, the other one is Pisces, and the third one is Libra. So these 3 signs, and I will someday do, at some point they are like the signs of Saraswati and Lakshmi and Durga. So, you know, someday I will deal with these signs, but just not yet. So these signs, if you have planets in here, it's very, very beneficial, very auspicious. Yeah. Okay. So let's see whom we have here. Carl Gustav Jung. We all know his chart, right? So what's his Ātmakāraka? It's Mars in the 11th house. So does anybody want to have a go? And Capricorn Lagna? And Mars is in its own sign in Scorpio, which is and it's also in the Badhak sign, that is the 11th house for Capricorn, or for dual, for Chara Rashis. 11th house becomes the, like they create problems for them. Okay. They create problems as in like they'll end up having problems, even though Mars is in its own sign. Mars is very strong. Let's see what it is in the Navāṃśa chart. It's in the 12th house from the Navāṃśa Lagna. And it's in the sign of Pisces. That's very fortunate. So Mars in Pisces is a very, very strong sign. But hey, there is a parivartana. Can somebody tell me the parivartana? Hi, guys. Hello.
Yeah, we are looking.
Okay. Can you see? As in, is the fonts big enough?
So with what?
So in the Navāṃśa chart, Mars is in a parivartana with Ketu, right?
Oh, yes.
Remember?
Yeah.
Ingrid, did you get that? Oksana, guys. Hello?
Why is in Parivartana with Ketu?
Oh, sorry. Hang on. I beg your pardon. I made a mistake. I did not see. It's not. Sorry. I thought it was 1. That's sorry. No, there's no parivartana with Mars. Sorry. Okay. Now let's see what his abilities are.
Counseling psychologist. We know him as a great psychologist, of course, and he has got Mercury in his first house in that D9.
He has no what? Sorry?
Mercury in the ascendant in the first house in D9.
He has Mercury there.
Yes.
In the D9, he's got Mercury there, right, Oksana?
Yeah, sure. Yes, right. And besides Jupiter as well in the 7th house together with Sun.
Yes, and Saturn, and exalted
yes, and Saturn
Saturn.
is exalted in Libra, okay.
Yeah, so guess what? His wife, okay, here's the thing, right? If you think about Carl Jung, he was a thinker, right? He had many, it's like he had these so many theories about everything, about the whole psychological aspect of it. Now, the Navāṃśa moon is in the 8th house and it's debilitated. But the lord of that is Mars in the 12th house. Now, remember what I said about the Mars in 12 from the Navāṃśa Lagna. Often it gives you blessings of Lakshmi. So essentially, he had like a lifelong battle with, who's the other psychologist? There was Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud, right?
Freud, yes.
Yeah. So Sigmund Freud, he almost always argued with Sigmund Freud. There was a lot of tirade and exchanges of letters on disagreements on their little philosophies and where they were coming from. And also, I think he was a little bit jealous of Freud because Freud was fairly wealthy. And Carl Jung finally married a very, very rich woman. His wife was extremely wealthy. Plus, he had a lot of mistresses who were his students. So essentially, that Mars, remember I said that if you have the Ātmakāraka or the Karakamsha in the 12th house from the Navāṃśa Lagna, you have the blessings of Lakshmi. So he did have the blessings of Lakshmi. His wife supported his research in terms of they had a beautiful house, many children. He had Tony Wolff, one of his key students, and who also was a great psychologist in her own right. He had an affair with her. She was his mistress. So you see, he had a lot going for him, lot of support, right? So that Mars Ātmakāraka is very strong in Pisces, in the D9 chart, and also in the D1 chart, in the Rashi chart. It's in the 11th house. It's in a very, very strong condition, you know. And remember, he met, he met very famous astrologers when he was very always interested in Eastern mysticism, Eastern occult system. He even made a few trips to India. And it has been documented that he would see people's charts as well, you know, and that shows a deep interest in occult and Eastern astrological principles and things like that. And that shows involvement of Ātmakāraka. It's in the 11th house in the Rashi chart. Any involvement with the Ātmakāraka, or the Ātmakāraka is ruling the 11th house or the 8th house, often will show occult or, you know, interest in Jyotish or mystical abilities or mystical sciences and all of that, you know.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt. Just I can confirm it because my Ātmakāraka is Mars, and in D9 it is exactly in the 8th house. And it is in Virgo, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the case.
Yeah. So you see, so that will have a significant influence on you. And what gives a very wealthy, very high status wife? Look at the planets in the 7th house in his Navāṃśa chart. Jupiter, she was his mentor. So he probably landed up marrying all of these, or having an affair, or landed up marrying all of these women. Saturn exalted, that is the Lagna Lord, is exalted in the 7th house in D9. We always look at where is the Ātmakāraka in the D9, where is what sign it is in, what house it is in D9. We see the Lagna Lord, what is it, what house it is in the D9, what sign it is in. So the Saturn is very, very strong in D9. Is everybody clear on that? So you see, there is a very strong analysis that goes in, but in baby steps. Yeah, we don't tackle the whole beast together. You know, we take little baby steps to evaluate it. Yeah.
Is the Saturn in Digbala, or is Digbala only used for the Rashi?
No. You can use Saturn is definitely in Digbala, very strong Saturn. Mercury is also in Digbala. So Jupiter, Mercury is both having, they are both Samasaptaka, very strong, though Jupiter is in 0 Digbal, but Mercury is very strong. So lot to do with the mind, with abilities, with communication. He was an excellent communicator. He had like loads of books, and I think he was quite well versed in languages as well, German and French and things like that. And not just that, look at the trines to Rahu. Rahu is somebody who's a big head, multi-headed creature, right? Anyone with Rahu in trines to the Navāṃśa Lagna will always be interested in things like astrology, astrological pursuits, or, they will have many interests. So if you compare him because they were both around the same time, Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung. If you compare both their abilities, Sigmund Freud had one track mind. He had a tunnel vision. His theory was like about incest and about, the Oedipus complex, and everything boiled down to human sexuality. While Carl Jung took these theories and said there is more. And so he started to go into other territories and occult and bringing in mysticism and consciousness and higher collective consciousness and all of these things, which completely deviating from Sigmund Freud's theories. So that shows like a very strong Rahu, even though it's in debility, but it still entrines to the Navāṃśa Lagna. And the debility of Rahu would show maybe his many affairs, multiple affairs and things like that, in spite of having a very illustrious and a very well-learned wife and a wealthy wife. Yeah. So, so if you study somebody's life chart, life history and everything, and the work that they have done, almost always the Karakas and the Ātmakāraka will reflect their life story. Yeah. And Mars is often, if you see in the Naisargika chakra, that is the Aries, putting Aries on the first house, you see the 8th house is also ruled by Mars, right? So Mars is the house of Scorpio, which is like occult and, mystical wisdom and everything hidden and psychology. The 8th house, the theme of psychology, psychotherapy, human psyche, which is hidden from everything, is very strong in the 8th house. And you can see that his 8th house is very strong. Yeah. Is everybody understanding
Sonar
this?
could,
yeah.
Yes, Sonar could be also, the 12th house related, because it's in the Navāṃśa. Navāṃśa is Mars in the 12th house, which could be also related to the unconscious, subconscious.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But he also had a very keen interest in spirituality. Don't forget, like I said, he traveled to India. He brought it in his work. In his psychotherapeutic work, he brought in concepts of like consciousness and raising your levels of consciousness and all that. He merged.
Yeah, there is a book of him.
Yeah.
There is a book on Kundalini, actually.
Yeah, exactly. So he merged
by him.
those. Absolutely. Yeah. So he merged the East and the West. And very few people know about that. People who are in the psychotherapeutic circles, they cherry pick his work. But he had a very strong, he used birth charts and everything to evaluate a person's psyche. So, read some of his red book too. He's, his the sort of unpublished, but he had like little doodles and things like that. It was published about 8-9 years ago. And that has a lot of information about his psyche and about a lot of his work and, his preoccupation. So, that is how we evaluate it. So there is that Rahu is very, very strong, and also Mercury, and that Mars Ātmakāraka in the 12th house. Of course, he had lots and lots of interest in occult and spiritual wisdom and all of those things that the 12th house has to offer. And of course, the 11th house is in the Rashi chart. Remember, in the Rashi chart also we have to see the moon. Guess where the moon is, guys? This is a very brilliant dictum here. Can everybody see in the Rashi chart where his moon is?
In Aries.
In the 4th house.
Yes, in Aries. The moon is Aries. And and the lord of the moon sign is called the Shubhapati, or the lord of the moon sign is a very auspicious planet, okay? And he's called the Shubhapati, and he is What is the lord of the moon sign? Who's ruling moon?
Mars. Yeah.
Yes. So the Mars is the Ātmakāraka. So he deeply, it came naturally to him. That's a great yoga. Guys, I can hear you. Can you please mute yourselves?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you see that he had a lot of, you know, when the moon sign Lord is your Ātmakāraka, that is a very powerful yoga. That means you have a very deep connection with Lord Shiva. It's called the Kevala Yoga. And you have your whole life, you have an obsession with all kinds of knowledge and things like that. And of course, his Mars rules the 4th house, and it is also his moon sign Lord. And 4th house is what is in your heart, what is in your consciousness, what's in your head, you know, what is there, what do you feel? That's your moon, you know. So hence it's any wonder that the work that he did was all to do with depth psychology and consciousness, unconsciousness, darkness, which the darkness was like all about, you know, his bringing things to light. You see, that is all about Mars, the Agni Tattva, bring things to light, right? That was his big theme in life. Yeah. Is everybody clear on this? Yeah. Making unconscious conscious. I think he very rightly said it's you know, cracks are where light can get in so that we can all get conscious, you know. So anyway, guys, I think we are up a little bit for time. Shall we do one more chart? Ernest Hemingway. Yeah, shall we do his chart?
Yes.
Yes. Anybody wants to have a grab at it? That he also had Mars Ātmakāraka. Can everybody see that?
Yeah, but besides, Mars also gives writing skills, good writing skills.
Absolutely, 100%. Right on the money, Oksana. Absolutely. Mars is brilliant, right? Because you see, when you use the pen, it's like a pointer. It's like a spear, like a, you know, a spear, like a so you're kind of, you know, using that martial energy. You know, of course, nowadays we are like typing away, you know, but again, the keys, you know, are to do with like the configuration of the keys is, you know, where there is print and all that. But again, Mercury is all about communication and Mars is about writing, you know. But
yeah, and it's in.
Yeah, go on. It's in.
With Mercury in Digbala as well. So
absolutely.
I mean,
yeah, go on.
No, I mean, Mercury and Mars can indicate, as you say, communication through a pen when they are combined together. So I didn't know that Mars also was ruling writing. I thought only Mercury. But thank you. Yeah, something new I learned.
Yes, absolutely. So, and Mars rules a very auspicious 9th house. Now, the thing with the 9th house is that we know that he had a lot of problems with suicide, and he ultimately shot himself, right? Or was it hung himself? I don't know. But what was interesting is that his grandfather had killed himself. Then I think his father or paternal grandfather had killed himself, and even his father killed himself. His father shot himself. And so there's like a whole line of lineage of like people you know, killing themselves. And so there was a sense of like depression running in the family, you know. Again, he did exactly the same. So you see, and he was a wonderful sports person. Please to note, what would give him a sports ability?
Mars in Lagna, very energetic.
Yes, but look at also the Navāṃśa Lagna.
Ah, the sun.
No, it's Mars in trines with the Navāṃśa Lagna. Remember what I said, that wherever Mars is in the Navāṃśa Lagna in trines, it will give you great abilities.
Okay.
Right? So Mars in Navāṃśa Lagna is absolutely giving you huge amounts of abilities. Yeah. And Jupiter.
And Sona,
yeah.
Sorry, is any kind of ability or Mars-related ability?
Mars-related ability.
Ability. So sports, you know, yeah.
Yeah.
Fighting, this kind of ability, competition, you know.
Really. Tai Chi, you know, mastery over Tai Chi or some such thing. Absolutely. Yeah. So he did all of that. Yeah. So
I see that Saturn aspects his ascendant.
Oh yes, there is a Yama Yoga happening. Very well spotted, Ingrid. Absolutely, you can see that Saturn is in giving a graha drishti on Mars, on Mercury. That Mercury is quite afflicted because it's a little bit like cursed one, as well as Rahu is giving a graha drishti to the first house. So you see 3 malefics are aspecting that first house. Is it any wonder he committed suicide?
Nope.
You know,
also,
yeah, go on.
Moon and Rahu together, are they in conjunction?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's another
And also,
problem.
I don't remember, Sonal, once I attended a webinar, and I don't know if I remember correctly, but there is a mention that the moon in the 5th house can give also mental problem.
Absolutely.
I remember.
Moon, my guru said that.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Very spot on, Margarita. Moon in Lagna, moon in the 5th house, moon in the 9th house in the Rashi chart, and moon in the 8th house. These 4 placements for the moon is very tricky. Okay, please to note, they can lead you to depression, mental health, but more so like depression rather than like, oh my God, acute mental health. I would say more depressive on a bordering on depression, you know. So you have to be aware of it and manage the depression.
Now we have a full swarm.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, we are going to stop because we have a course of nakshatras coming up today.
So see you later.
Yes. I hope you guys are joining. You know.
Yes. See you later.
Yes.
See you later.
Yes,
we are. Any questions so far?
Yes. I have a question about the time. Actually, what time does it start? I mean, the next nakshatra session.
It starts at 8:30.
Okay, 8:30 sharp. Yeah, because I have got some time difference here.
Oh yeah, I understand. Yeah. No worries. It will start at 8:30. Okay. You can always pop by earlier and then leave early because I can send you the recording. That's not a problem.
Okay, but I will try to join, of course.
Lovely. Thank you very much, guys.
Okay, see you later.
Bye, Sona. See you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.